Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the financial knowledge and basically we are covering the banking awareness part of it, right? And what we are discussing? Basically, we have started the discussion over the insolvency and bankruptcy board of India, right? In short known as the IBBI. Okay? So, what are the topics we have covered in it? The introduction, the background, the establishment, the objectives, the regulation, all right, and the insolvency professionals. These are the topics we have covered in this particular topic. Okay, starting with the introduction, then the background, then the establishment, objectives, regulation, and the insolvency professionals. What we are left with? We are left with the insolvency professional agencies, information utilities, advisory role, collaboration, CIRP, educational awareness, and the summary. Okay, so these are the topics we are left with. So let's start our discussion over insolvency professional agencies. Before beginning the topic or before starting the topic, just make sure that you have revised the previous one. Okay, if you haven't revised the previous session, then this session or this particular lecture will not be very beneficial for you because you have already missed several facts and figures which we had discussed in the previous lecture. That figures could be utilized in this lectures also. Okay, so now we are going to start with the insolvency professional agencies. As we know that if this is the insolvency and the bankruptcy board of India, thereafter this is the IPA, this is the IP. Okay, so the IPA act as a bridge between the insolvency professional and the insolvency and bankruptcy board of India. Okay, so this is what we have seen in the previous lecture also. So with this note, let's proceed. So basically, if we talk about the insolvency professional agencies, okay, or in short known as the IPA. So the insolvency professional agencies, IPAs, are the entities that play a vital role in the insolvency and the bankruptcy resolution process in India. Okay, they are registered and regulated by the Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Board of India, known as the IBBI, and are responsible for several key functions related to the insolvency professionals. Okay, so basically in the previous lecture also and previous to previous lectures also we had seen that the IBBI sets the rules and regulations, ensure the compliance. Okay, but it is not feasible that the IBBI by itself will look after each and every IP. Got it? It is not possible. So basically, what's happened here? The IPA, the insolvency professionals agencies, they are the intermediator. Okay, which recruited the IP, trained them, okay, made them eligible to carry out the legitimate insolvency professional. Okay, and that's why the IPA having a vital role in the insolvency and the bankruptcy. Why? Because they are the intermediaries between the IBBI and the IP. Okay, they communicated and control the IP on behalf of the IBBI, and IBBI most of the times rely on the IPA for the details regarding the IP and its profession and its, you can say, commencement of the operations. Got it? So keep this thing in your mind. Now, if we move forward, IPAs are responsible for selecting, enrolling, and registering individuals as insolvency professionals that we have seen. They act as gatekeepers to ensure that only qualified and competent individuals becomes IP. Okay, so basically IPA having a responsibility, okay, that they ensure the person who is applying for the insolvency professional. The person who is applying for the insolvency professional, okay, this person must be meet up the qualification of the educational base and the you can say educational and the professional experience. Which organization make it sure? The IPA, insolvency professional agencies. They make sure. Okay? They act as the gatekeepers to ensure that the only qualified and the competent individual. Qualified and the competent individual. Okay? Become a IPA by checking its educational and the professional experience. Thereafter, IPA assesses the qualification, the experience, and the eligibility of candidates who seek to become IPs. This assessment process includes reviewing the educational qualification, professional experience, and adherence to the eligibility criteria set up by the IPB. Okay, if we follow the chart like which we had designed in the previous lecture, okay, this is an individual, got it? Thereafter, this is a educational institution, okay, then this is the person, okay, this is the IPA, all right. Thereafter, this is IBBI. So what we had seen basically the person who is aspiring to become the insolvency professional. That individual or that person must be able to meet up the eligibility criteria. It means that educational criteria is one amongst them. So what he will do, he will go to the educational institution we had seen. Then the educational institution will train him, all right, made him capable to apply for the IP. Okay, and during the applying of the IP, the IPA, insolvency professional agency, will check out his eligibility, whether this person is able to become the IP or not. After checking out the eligibility, thereafter the IPA will recommend him to the IBBI, and finally the IBBI will grant him the license. Okay, so if you look at this picture carefully, you will find that the IPA is the agency which assesses the qualification, experience, and the eligibility. Okay, on the basis of this assessment, by reviewing the education qualifications, the professional experience, and the adherence to the eligibility criteria set up by the IBBI, the IPA recommended the person named to IBBI for registration and the licensing process. Okay, so keep this thing in your mind. IPAs are tasked with providing training and continuing professional education to aspiring and practicing insolvency professionals. This training is designed to equip IPs with the necessary knowledge and skills to carry out their responsibilities effectively. Okay, so first thing you can say, after crossing the basic education qualifications and the professional knowledge, the person who is seeking to become a professional IP will be comes under the preview preview and the administrative control of the IPA regarding the training and the continuing of the professional educations. Okay, to aspiring and practicing insolvency professionals. Okay, why this training happen? This training is basically happen and designed to equip the IPs with the necessary knowledge and skills to carry out their responsibilities effectively. Got it? Thereafter, IPAs are offer training programs and courses that cover various aspects of insolvency and the bankruptcy laws. Okay, procedures, ethics, and the best practices are the part of it. This education helps IPs to stay updated with the latest developments in the field. Okay, once candidates successfully complete the training and meet the requirements set up by the IPA, they receive the certification. As insolvency professionals, this certification is essential for an individual to practice as an IP. Okay, like you can say when the individual go to the IPA, initially he required to meet the initial eligibility criteria. Okay, after meeting the initial eligibility criteria, what will happen? The person will get the admission to the IPA, insolvency professional agencies. What the IPA will do? IPA assess the knowledge and competence level of an individual. Okay, on the basis of this, what will happen? IPA will design the training and continuation curriculum, training and the continuation curriculum. On the basis of training and continuation curriculum, the following individual or the IP will be trained enough. All right, and after the training, the following IP who has been under the training by the IPA for a long time as per the requirements of the eligibility criteria set up by the IBBI. Once the training is completed, that person is awarded with the certification. Okay, and you can say this certification is basically the proof of being trained by the IPA. Okay, and this brings professional mandate to that person, because once it is certified that the person has been under the training of the IPA, okay, all the necessary curriculums, all the necessary set of rules and regulations have been, you can say, taught to him. So that person is professionally and educationally capable to carry out the insolvency business. Okay, so that's how the certification works. Got it? The certification process is rigorous and ensures that the IPs have the necessary knowledge and skills to handle the insolvency cases. Accreditation from IPAs demonstrate an IP's competence and adherence to the professional standards. The certification process is rigorous. Why? Because it is it is to ensure that The person who is being trained by the IPA must be trained as per the set of rules and regulations which are being prescribed by which agency? By IBPI. Okay? IPAS continues to provide support and supervision to insolvency professionals throughout their careers. This ongoing assistance includes guidance on complex insolvency cases, updates on legal and regulatory challenges, and addressing any professional challenges faced by the IPs. Now, basically, what is happening? Suppose when we talk about the insolvency and the bankruptcy, okay, doesn't matter whether we are talking about the individuals, we are talking about the partnership firms, okay, and we are talking about the corporations. Doesn't matter about which we are talking. Basically, what is the main scenario here? That all of these things may be related with the banking field, business field, okay, shares, all right, legals, legal area, and etc. Okay, so doesn't matter whether you're talking about the individuals, partnership firms, or corporations. Whatever you're talking about, the insolvency and the bankruptcy case may involve the fields like the banking, business, shares, legal, and so many fields. All right, and there are a dynamic process. Okay, there is nothing like a static process. Okay, which means that if something is happened, the thing will be remain as it is. No, the rules and regulations in that areas are on continuous change as per the requirements and the current situations. Okay, that's why suppose the person who has been trained as an IP in the year of 2017, okay, and if we are talking about the year of 2022, for example, okay, so what is the time period? 5 years is a time period. Okay, so during these 5 years, many things will be changes in the banking field. Okay, business field, shares, legal areas, and other things. Okay, and because of this, what will happen? This person who was trained in the 2017 and handling the case in 2022, there are chances that might be his decision was irrational or maybe outdated. Why? Because during 5 years, many things will be changed and that fellow is not aware about it. Okay, that's the reason why the IPA ensured the continuous support and supervision to the insolvency professionals throughout their careers. Because when they taken the insolvency and the bankruptcy case, it is not possible that they are dealing only one field, means the banking field, the financial field, the legal field, economic field, business field. No, they are dealing with the complexity of the fields. That's why it has become very necessary that these individuals must be aware about changes, new requirements of that particular areas or the fields. If this is not happening, these persons will take irrational or outdated decision. Okay, this ongoing assistance includes guidance on the complex insolvency cases, latest updates on the legal and the regulatory changes made by the IBBI or made in any field by the apex institution of that particular field, and addressing any professional challenges faced by the IPs. Okay, so keep this thing in your mind. IPAs plays a role in enhancing the professional development of IPs and maintaining a high standard of competence and ethics within the insolvency profession. Okay. Thereafter, if we talk about the monitoring and the compliance, IPAs are responsible for monitoring the performance of insolvency professionals registered with them. They ensure that the IPs adhere to their professional and ethical standards set by the IBBA. Okay, why? Because if you go by the diagram which we had made, if this is an IP, this is an IPA, okay, and this is the IBBA. So if we go by the diagram, what will happen? We could see that IPE, sorry, the IBBI will not directly dealing with the IP. Okay, so on behalf of the IBBI, the IPA plays the role, and that's why we called it as a intermediary. Okay, so remember this thing. They ensure that the IPs adhere to the professional and the ethical standards set up by the IBBI, because ultimately the IPA having the responsibility to act as a bridge between the IBBI and the IP. If anything happens, any you can say misconduct, misappropriation case, या फिर unethical case find out by the IBBI regarding some IP, so first of all the IPA in which that particular person was trained will be charged. Okay. Thereafter, we have the monitoring includes the assessing the conduct and the competence of IPs during the insolvency proceedings and taking appropriate actions in cases of non-compliance or misconduct. It means that on behalf of the IBBI, the IPA can also assess the conduct and competence of the IPs during the insolvency proceedings and taking appropriate actions in cases of non-compliance or misconduct. Like, as I have told you, if this is a particular organization called the XYZ, okay, so as we know, we had taken an example that the liabilities are of worth rupees 200 crores, right? If there are A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, so we know A having 75 crores, B having 10 crores, C having 15 crores, D having 15 crores, E having 15 crores. Okay, that was the scenario. And who they are? They all creditors. Got it? They all are the creditors. Okay. Thereafter, the one person will be the debtor, who will be the owner also. So when we talk about this particular area, so the insolvency professional, okay, the person who has taken the charge of insolvency and the bankruptcy, that person, what that person will do? That person is required to conduct the area or to conduct the inquiry on the fairly basis, right? That's such reason. So if there is any misconduct, any unethical practice find out in the proceeding of liquidation of assets and discharging of the liabilities, Okay, if any misconduct or unethical behavior find out regarding any of them, maybe the creditors individually or the group of creditors or towards the debtors, what will happen? The IPA will take up the investigation. Okay, will find out the root cause and communicate it the same to the IBBI. Thereafter, the IBBI, which is a regulatory authority, will thought that whether to take only the disciplinary action or to take, you can say, revocation of license. Okay, so this is the task of the IPA. Got it? Preventing conflicts of interest. IPAs are expected to prevent the conflict of interest in the activities they carried out. These ensure that the primary focus of IPAs is on upholding the integrity of the insolvency and the bankruptcy resolution process and safeguarding the interests of creditors, debtors, and other stakeholders. Okay. So, students, basically in this particular lecture, what we have done, we have finished the insolvency professional agencies. In the next lecture, we will continue with the other parts. Till then, just make sure that you have revised all the facts and figures we have discussed in this lecture. Okay, that will make you ready for the other lecture. Okay, so with this note, let's end this lecture. And what we say thank you.